So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see it.
Yep, looks good on my end.
And everything has started recording. So yes, we're on track. So what I'm going to walk you guys through today, of course, is just what y'all would be doing, day in and day out whenever you get in the software to process your paperwork. So if there are any questions as we go along, please stop me. I'm happy to answer them as we go along, or if we want to answer some questions at the end, either way. But I'm going to go ahead and jump in. So we'll cover a deal in Iowa and, kind of show you one of those headache states that you guys have been seeing.
Yes, thank you.
So first things first, this is what you're going to see every time you log in. So we have a place where you can see any common questions, get some additional tips. As you can see, for some reason, it still has our old logo on here, but we're actually called Solera Titling now. So if you get any of those emails, same company. Then we also have our training catalog that's available to you guys. It has some quick training videos in case y'all need it. And I always like to point out on the demo, up here, we do have the phone number and the help desk information. Our help desk is available 24/7. So of course, after hours, if you need help, or on the weekend, if you're not in and you have somebody that needs to step in and take care of it, that way you don't come back on Monday and you got a lot of paperwork on your desk.
Yeah.
But outside of that, we'll go ahead and jump into the start a new deal. It's where you go every time. So what'll happen on the next page is we're just going to go through customer's registration state. We'll select your dealership, kind of walk through that deal process. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and show you what it looks like in Iowa. So this one, we're going to use our demo partition, which is the Title Tech dealership. That way we don't end up charging any of our other customers. And this deal number right here, of course, will be generated by your DMS provider. I heard you guys are using Dealer Track. So all you'll do is take that deal number that they have in Dealer Track, put it in and load the deal. We don't have a DMS located with our demo partition, so unfortunately didn't find anything, but whenever you're integrated, it will.
Sure.
So then you'll just put in your VIN number. I'm going to use a Chevy Tahoe. I think it's a 2020. It'll automatically populate over the passenger type or the vehicle type. All you'll need to do is put in your purchase type. Just for the sake of this demo, I know you said you had a lot of trouble with lien perfections. So I'm going to show you the finance deal so you can see where that lien holder information goes in. And then just to keep it kind of simple, since I don't have a VIN number for a transfer or a trade-in, I'm going to go ahead and do no plate transfer. So from here, two different options for you guys. If you do just need a fee calculation only or a fee estimate, you'll go ahead and move forward with the fee calc. I want to show you guys the full deal. So we'll go forward with this one. And it's going to pop up like calc, 3 times now.
If we did the free calc, would that be just like for example, our sales managers up front, how much that they could ahead of time build into the deal for how much the customer would owe? That would just be that option.
Yeah. If you guys do want to have your sales manager have access to the system, they can actually put this information in ahead of time. That way, once it gets to your desk, you don't have to put in a lot, or they can just put in that DMS system. Either way, however you guys want to do it, whatever works best for your dealership. Okay. It's always what I recommend. Awesome. Then here, it'll just let you know if there's anything state specific you need to know. Most of the time, it's some sort of transfer restriction or smog inspections that you need to know up front. Again, all of our information if you have any questions about a specific deal. So I went ahead and Maddie, I hope you don't mind, I used you as my customer. I'm sure you'll be the best customer for me today. So this right here will show you anything with the VIN number that you're using. So if you've got multiple deals because you sold multiple of the same car, it'll pull it up right here. Okay. So what'll happen next is it'll walk you through putting in your customer information and, all the good stuff you've got to do to get the deal moving forward. So like I said, I used Maddie as my customer. You can add additional co-owners. You can add additional information. I always like to put a little bit here so you can see it pull over on the DMV forms. I always recommend putting absolutely as much information in on the front end as you can, because Maddie, it's going to make your life a lot easier when those forms populate, because they'll put in all that information. So I made you super young, but it required me to put in a date of birth. So we went ahead and did that. And then, of course, I made up a driver's license number for you. Pretty sure it's too many digits, but it'll pull over in the paperwork. From here, we'll just go ahead and keep it moving. We also, of course, put in that vehicle information. As you can see, that VIN number has populated over. You can change the VIN number. So if you ever need to do that, of course, you just click into here, change that VIN number, reload the vehicle. This is an estimated MSRP, just because I am not as familiar with what vehicles cost. So I estimated a Chevy Tahoe is going to cost about $20,000. You select if it's going to be a new or used vehicle. If you are using new, of course, you'll just need the previous title state. But we'll go ahead and do new. And then from here, you just need to select if it's private or commercial. I put in the odometer. Again, this is to make sure you see how it populates over. And once you're satisfied that you've got all this information correct, you'll just keep it moving. We do have room for trade-ins. I really hope y'all never have to do a deal where you've got 4 trade-ins, but the option's there.
Right.
The funny thing is you can actually call in if you need more trade-ins, and I think you can add up to 4 more. I've never seen it happen, and I really hope it never happens.
Right.
So we're actually going to spend a little bit more time on this purchase information, because this one's going to be a really important page for you guys. So whenever I Googled the Chevy Tahoe, right now they're selling it for almost $50,000. You can decide if you're shipping your vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and click yes. And then it's going to break down all things taxable in this state. So, of course, your trade-in allowance. I wanted to add some accessories so you can see how it ends up adding it at the back end for the taxes. Warranties, some dealer rebates. And then I want to spend some time here. The NAT processing fee is actually what we charge you guys. And when you have something in this box, it's what you're charging your customer back. So we have a processing fee of $90.98 per deal. And the way that breaks down is you get your fee calculation for $34.99. And then once you're ready to move forward with the DMV forms, it's an additional $55.99. So totaling out to that $90.98. Now, what a lot of my dealers like to do is actually upcharge this, because, everyone likes to make some additional profit. So I've seen it go, $150 up to $200 just for an out-of-state doc fee. And then everything else is just revenue at that point. So we do have a $90 subscription fee that is month to month. We don't require you to lock in with a contract for like 6 months, 12 months. It's just a month-to-month deal for you guys.
Gotcha.
So before I move forward, I do know that I said a lot of numbers over here. Are there any questions that you guys have up to this point, or any feedback you have for me so far?
Just as far as the pricing, okay, so making sure I understood. So is it 90 per month for the subscription fee and month to month, but then in addition to that, it's the 90.98 per deal for the 30 whatever for the fee, and then the 55 for the forms.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
That is correct. And I'll also, at the end of this demo, I'll send, this recorded demo, and then I'll also send that breakdown. That way, you've got it on paper. You can look at it.
Yeah, perfect.
Was that what you were going to ask as well, Maddie?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and move forward if there aren't any more questions, but I'll make sure that we break that down. One of the biggest benefits is being able to not only charge that back, but upsell to your customer. So, it just depends on how your dealership wants to operate.
Right. If for some reason we were waiving the fee, would it be able to be a 0?
Yeah. If you decided, hey, I don't want to charge
Not.
the customer that, we'll move forward.
Okay.
Oh,
Gotcha.
did I just hit enter?
What would the dealer prep fees be? Would that be kind of our administrative fees?
Dealer prep. That I am not sure, but I hit enter. When you hit enter, it tries to calculate fees for you. My bad. I will try not to do that again. But the good thing is you can just move forward. If you ever want a quick move anywhere, you can do that here. So the dealer prep fees, just to be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure what those are. But the good thing is we do have a help desk, and if they ever have any questions, you can always reach out to the help desk and say, hey, I don't think I understand this fee. Can you walk me through what this is? And they'll be able to answer those questions for you.
Okay.
I actually recommend getting online with them and talking to them to walk through your first couple of deals. That way you feel confident when you're moving forward.
Sure. And so the dealership, if we are shipping the vehicle, just know a few times we've done that. So if we do hit yes, what other options would that? Do we just
So usually it
pricing?
doesn't add any other options.
Okay.
The only time I've seen the shipping fee be taxable is in New York.
Gotcha.
And then of course you would put in whatever the shipping fee is.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Well, we'll kind of walk into the lien holder information. So I'm going to go ahead and use Bank of America. You can add any additional lien holders. Just to be, honest with you guys, you'll have to find the lien holder code just because I know they vary per state. It's usually a pretty quick convo with the bank. And then, of course, their federal identification number. Outside of that, you'll just add in maybe we're using Salem Boulevard in Pennsylvania. And it's going to load. My bad. I didn't mean to make it load, you guys. But that's some information that you'll need to put in. And then, of course, if you have any mailing information as well. And like I said, you can add some additional lien holders. So if we're using multiple lenders, you put that information here. Once you move to the registration, of course, this is all going to be unique to the state. So I think this is the first time I've ever seen the owner's date of birth on here. But you can decide, hey, are we mailing this? What's their registration county? I went ahead and put in some insurance information. So, we're using State Farm. Policy day is effective today. And, if you wanted to put a policy number, I'm just going to put in one that's pretty small. Outside of that, you'll have the option for your DMV contact. So in a lot of states, we do have a private tag agency. Of course, these always have fees associated with them, but usually they're a little bit faster. And then, of course, we have the DMV location that's no charge to your dealership for utilizing, and it'll pinpoint the one closest to your customer.
Oh, cool.
So, before I move forward to the fees, were there any questions that you guys had up to this point?
I don't think
So this is kind of after the fact, like after we've already done the deal, correct? Like this is something that okay.
Yeah, so this is something
Okay.
that usually takes place in the finance office or the title office.
Mm-hmm.
But, like I said, when you're integrated with your DMS system, a lot of this information will pull over. So that owner information is going to pull over your vehicle, your insurance information, everything that they've put in is just going to go ahead and pull over into the software.
Okay. And then that button at the very beginning that you could choose to do the title and stuff, and then the calculate the fees. Basically, that one would just calculate the fees rather than us entering all this information, kind of as a quicker button.
So it'll actually have you put in all this information. It just won't print the forms.
Okay.
So it'll just get to this step.
Okay.
Which is our next step that'll calculate everything for you. Because, unfortunately, it won't calculate that information until you have all of that in the system.
Already entered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the good thing is the buttons are blue. That way, you know when you're getting charged.
Right.
So this calculate fees is that $34.99 charge. So while it's loading, what it's going to break down is, a line by line what the state charges. And then I'll show you exactly where it says, hey, this is all the taxable information, and this is what you need to collect. And then, like I said, it'll give you that line by line breakdown of all those titling fees and registration fees. So right at the top, big and bold, this is all the taxable information, everything that we added up. So all of those accessories, the, sales price of the vehicle. And then the second most important thing on this page is going to be that total amount to collect. So it'll show you this is how much you owe to the state, including that NAT processing fee. Now, as you can see, there's that line by line breakdown. So you see they have a pretty expensive registration. Additional fees is always our fee. It'll tell you, hey, it's a 5% tax. And then if you guys do deal with any reciprocity tax, it'll break that down. Our dealership is hypothetically located in Florida, so that's why you see tax amount due to Florida and then tax credit given to Iowa. So that's just that breakdown there. It'll calculate if you've got reciprocity on there or not. And then at the bottom, it gives you any notices. So of course, it has to be titled within 30 days and it requires a VIN inspection.
Okay, perfect. And this one, we can print the fees. So if, for example, we did end up opting to have like our sales managers print it while the customer's there buying the car, we could give them this copy so they know ahead of
Yeah.
time, like, this is how much it is. This is what you'll need to do.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
especially if you
Okay.
know you've got a person coming in. If you're like, hey, I know we've got an out-of-state buyer, so we're going to get this information already ahead of time. That way we can just process the sale and be good to go.
Right.
I know
So if
some
we
of my
did
guys will do that.
that, if we did that, the insurance information that we have to enter to even get to this point, would it be okay using their old insurance card since maybe they haven't updated it yet?
So the good thing, and I'll kind of back it up one so I can show you that. We'll go back to registration. And by the way, once you calculate fees, as long as you're operating in the same deal number, it's not going to charge you again. So you have to, if you have to recalculate fees because maybe they added accessories, maybe there were some rebates that you guys were honoring, it won't charge you again for utilizing the system.
Okay, good.
So let's say that you didn't have the insurance information just yet. You can go back to registration. You don't have to fill it out because technically to move forward, you only need to fill out what's in red.
Okay.
Okay.
So you don't have to have this completed. You can always go back and input it after the sale is completed or after you have that customer in front of you.
Okay.
So then you'll just go back, recalculate those fees. Let's say you added some accessories on, and then it'll pull all that information over into the forms at the end. And then, of course, my internet decides to be a little bit slower. You know how it goes.
That's okay. Processing time in my brain.
Hey, no, completely understand. I always joke that it's a Friday and my internet found out about it.
Right.
So from here, we'll just move forward into print registration forms. Once they do pull up, we'll just kind of walk through what forms show up and of course our checklist. So it'll show you everything that you need to submit off to the state. This is that checklist for you. Anything that is in red is really important. So of course it does need you to have a prepaid return FedEx or UPS envelope. Then of course it'll walk you through like, hey, we need the driver's license, a notarized power of attorney, an ADL summary page. And these are all forms that we provide for you. If it's anything outside of what we provide, we'll make sure that it's needed before moving on. So then of course it does the transfer plate information and trade allowance. It also shows you that payment information. So if you are using a private tag agency, you'll just, of course, make the check payable to that tag agency. Since we didn't select it, it doesn't populate that information over. But otherwise, if you're using the DMV location, it'll go ahead and show you where you need to send it to. Whenever you go down a little bit further, this is going to be all of the paperwork that you need to send over. It also gives you the phone number if for some reason you ever need to reach out to the DMV directly. That's available to you. And then it'll also give you that address again. Because I don't know about y'all, but my memory is terrible and I would never remember this.
Yep.
So then you'll just make sure that you have all your contact information in here. It'll already be in the system, so it'll populate over. We just don't include our stuff on here. Now, if you are using 50 State DMV, that's our private tag agency available for Iowa, you would need this one. I think you can also submit this to the state as well. Then you have a license plate destination form. So if you want to send it off to the customer and just wipe your hands of it once you send out the paperwork, you would just select owner and type in their information. If you do want to get that paperwork back, then you can select your dealership. Then you would just put in the name of your dealership and make sure it's all good to go. Of course, you have the damage disclosure. Chevy, this is the VIN number. You know, you'll probably have to say like, hey, yes or no. But super easy stuff. The good thing here is whenever it's in yellow, it'll indicate if you need a wet signature. Some states will accept a DocuSign or like DocuSign or Route 1. If you got the buyer in front of you, I just suggest having them sign it. But it'll indicate, hey, this has to have that wet signature.
So yellow means wet signature.
Yeah. And I don't see it in all states, but I have seen it in quite a few. Then this is that deal summary for you guys. So it breaks down everything that we have and everything that you've put in. And then, of course, customer information. It'll have that application for title. And as you can see, you know, we put in that ID. I didn't have any addresses in here, so it didn't populate over, but all that vehicle information came over as well. And then you've got your, you know, lien holder information and a couple other wet signatures needed.
You okay over there?
And then, of course, you know, just a continuation of that certificate of title. And apparently this is a very long form. So if you have any additional owners from here. And looks like we might be on the last page. So just your power of attorney. So as you can see, it's got first and last name. It'll put the address in full. And then, of course, it's got that vehicle information already put in. And again, need a wet signature on this. Oh, wait, there's one more. I apologize.
It's Iowa. There's more.
Oh, no, New York has, I think, 21 pages.
Oh.
So I always am like, are we done? No, no, we're not. And then, of course, odometer disclosure here. So this is your company name. This is what the odometer is, make, model, all that information you already put in, and then another wet signature. So it looks like Iowa requires a lot of wet signatures. I would just have this paperwork printed out when the customer's still in front of you.
Yeah. Sure. And
So-
will, if you did not enter, like if we were prepping this ahead of time,
Mhm.
getting it all printed out, getting the fees and everything, so when they do come in, would we be able to print the forms ahead of having like all of that insurance information and stuff? Or do we have to have all of that in order to get to the forms?
So I've already kind of printed these forms. You can go back and print these forms as many times as you need to. It's not going to charge you again to do that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you need to put in that insurance information, you didn't have it available, or if you just want to print out those documents and have your customer sign it and input that, either way you decide, totally up to you guys.
Okay.
So if you don't have everything at the, you know, point where they call in, you know, no worries. It's something where you can definitely go back and, you know, resubmit this paperwork and get it all completed after that.
Perfect.
So the good thing is that is how quick and easy it is. So this is, you know, kind of the end of the demo. All you would do is print out that information from here. So of course, I did want to see, you know, what you guys were, you know, kind of thinking and, you know, really how this would change your process.
I'll let you speak on that first, Maddie.
Yeah, I think it could really work with that. We would have to kind of figure out like a workflow to it. But I
Mhm.
think it's definitely something, you know, having everything already, the form's already there, it telling us what we need to be wet signatures and
Yeah.
what we all need, like back on that, where it said the notations of needing the inspection and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Letting
the
us know,
notices.
yeah, letting us know that ahead of time, I think will really help too. Cause sometimes it's tough because, you know, Kansas only requires like a VIN inspection, but Missouri requires like an ID/OD inspection, things
Yeah.
like that. But then there's states that require an emissions test too. So
Or
knowing
smog inspections.
exactly, yeah. So like knowing which one I think will really help because that's really the process that is taking me forever is figuring out what forms do I need and then what is
Yeah.
all needed on top of that. And then having
No,
everything
for sure.
pre-calculated wise leaves out that me having to call the state or call the county and figure all that stuff out too.
Yeah, and I know I didn't touch on it, but for our fees and taxes, we have a guarantee. So if for whatever reason the state, they give you the wrong information or they tell you to collect the wrong things, we'll actually do an audit and reimburse you. So you don't have to, eat the cost at the dealership, and you don't have to talk to the customer and say, hey, funny story, I actually
Right,
need like
you
$20
owe.
more dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's very helpful.
Yeah.
As far as like guarantee too, like okay, so we get all the signatures. What does that next step look like as far as us sending it? We send it to, depending on what option we picked, we send it to the DMV or the tag agency. So since it's direct to them, it's just whatever their processing time is, right? There's not like a middleman or anything.
We are not a middleman. I know last time I talked to you, you had Red
a
USA,
little traumatized.
and they took so long to get all your stuff together.
Right.
So there is no middleman. After it leaves my desk, it goes straight to the DMV. Or after it leaves your desk,
Sure,
sorry.
yeah.
After it leaves your desk, it goes straight to the DMV.
Perfect. Okay.
And
So
then
it's not us collecting it and then giving it to you, then to send to the DMV. It's just
Yeah.
us doing
Us
it.
two there.
This
Okay.
just helps
Yeah.
us get the forms and know what we
yeah,
need.
it helps you know that you've got everything that you need, and it's not going to come
Yeah.
back to your desk.
I love it already.
I know. That's love.
No,
Okay, so
for
to
sure.
make sure, because I think, me and her are definitely on board, but I've
Right.
got to
Yeah.
get all the approvals and dot my T's and I's. But okay, so we could potentially, we recoup, which I think is great. We could recoup
Mhm.
from the customer and charge the customer that $90.98.
Yes.
And then you were going to email it too. But so the 90 per month subscription fee.
Mhm.
That is the month to month. And then if we do the tag agency, I think maybe on like heat case situations where we want it really fast, we could do that
Yeah.
option, and that's another fee. Is there
So
any
you can actually
other?
charge that back to the customer if you
Okay.
decide that, hey, they want it faster. So you just tell them, hey, it's going to be a little bit additional to get that, that, what is
Being
it,
charged
plate
faster.
back to you and the title work done faster. And then you can tell them like, hey, this is what it's going to cost. Because I know, honestly, the DMV in New York takes like 2 to 3 weeks, but our private tag agency in New York, I think it's only $60 to use them, and they'll turn it over in like 2 days.
Wow.
So, that's the benefit of having the tag agency. If you just have
Yeah.
someone that, they didn't get you what you needed. So, hey, we've got like 2 days to get this registered. Let's just send it to the tag agency, and we'll just charge them the extra cost for taking too long.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Um,
So that was the bulk of just what all the fees and the costs and stuff is.
Yes. And the only other thing that you would see, and I know that you guys are interested in the DMS integration. Now, I've been told that you guys have DealerTrack. To integrate with DealerTrack, we do have a fee for it. So it's our cheapest fee that we have for any of our TMS providers. It's, just a $50 setup to get that integrated. And then it's a reoccurring of $65 a month. What I always recommend is, hey, just charge back to your customer a little bit additional, you make some profit, and you cover all your monthly costs. So that's my recommendation. That's the breakdown of all the fees. And I will say, if you decide you don't want to integrate with the DMS, it does not take it doesn't take long to walk through the software. I always recommend
Right.
integrating just to make your life easier. But, it's completely up to you guys.
Yeah. So if we integrate, essentially it's just that ability to input the deal number and have everything pull over and less just manual fill in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So totally up to you
Gotcha.
guys what's going to be the best process for y'all. Because
Yeah.
I know you know your business better than I do.
Right. So now I do know Dallas had mentioned we do use you for our service department, and we
Is it
do
like
already get an integration
AutoPoint?
fee. Yes.
We do AutoPoint, and then we also have they're all Solera brand, I
Yeah.
guess, but we use AutoPoint and we also use RedCap. So I didn't know,
Oh,
as far as the billing goes, would that be pretty, would it be invoices and stuff similar to those? Do you know?
I know that we sign you up with an ACH form.
Okay.
So you can decide if you want that to pull out daily, weekly, or monthly.
Gotcha.
Now, I'll have to verify I'm not sure if it'll be a separate charge, but it might be, just since, it's a separate service and dealer
Right.
track is like that. But that's actually cool. I didn't realize you guys were utilizing RedCap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty recent, only for like 2 months now, but that's what
Gotcha.
led
No,
us to you
I
guys.
thought
and
it was
ended up being
funny.
you.
I actually, since we last talked, Alice, I ended up
Mhm.
getting a promotion. So I actually managed the titling team, but I also managed part of the RedCap team. So hearing that's kind of cool.
Cool. Well, congrats.
So anyway, I will get that information over to you. It sounds like
Perfect.
it's a conversation that we need to have with the GM.
Mhm.
So if you don't mind me asking, when do you guys have that on the books to, run it by him and just kind of get some next steps from him?
I think
Um,
Dallas and I are kind of going to talk about it
Okay.
and then talk with like our manager and then see from there what our manager suggests doing. Cause I know we have a couple controllers that we'll probably need to run it by too.
Gotcha.
But the GM also is obviously the big deciding factor.
Yeah, I know that, I mean, if we do run with it, I'm sure as soon as possible, just because the issues we
Gotcha.
have right now are just, oh,
Yeah.
so
Right.
exhausting.
Yeah, no worries.
So, I would say we could have conversations by next week. Just with
Okay.
month end, I don't know how fast we'll get answers,
No,
but
Right.
gotcha.
I would say like, give us like
Okay.
2 weeks if you don't hear from us before
Exactly.
then.
Yeah.
Okay. For sure.
I think probably next week is what I'm leaning toward.
Yeah.
All right.
Dallas with one
So-
L.
Yes, correct.
Dallas is one L.
You noticed.
I
Yep.
noticed that. I'm like, okay, it's pretty.
So I'm looking at a timeline between, it looks like, I'm looking at the wrong calendar. Oh gosh. Probably between like March 13th and maybe the 17th.
Yeah.
So what is a good day for you guys usually? Like a Monday, a Tuesday? Or what kind of works for y'all?
I would say maybe just not Monday, Tuesday. Any other day though, I'm okay with.
Gotcha.
As soon as I
Okay,
get
so
caught
I'll
up, so.
no,
They just
for
sound like
sure.
bad.
They do. So I will I'll put it on my calendar to reach out around March 15th. And then I'll kind of do towards midday because I know how mornings are for me. So I can
Mhm.
assume mornings are pretty terrible for you guys
Yep.
too. And then what I'll do is I'll just, provide that breakdown of, hey, this is what the cost breakdown is. This is, the main benefits we talked about. I know I'll probably focus a little bit more on forms because it seems like that's where you guys had the most issues. So, I'll talk a little bit more about what forms are provided with the checklist. And then I'll include that DMS integration. So, is there anything else that you guys had any questions about, or, anything else that I can help you guys out with when you take it to your boss?
I don't think so. Just yeah. If you could send that stuff over just as soon as you can, and then
Yep.
we'll forward that on.
Absolutely.
That would be
Well,
amazing.
hey, absolutely. And I'll also include this this demo that we did, the recording. That way, if they're like, hey, I just want to see it. Well, hey, here you go. You can watch it in your own time.
Don't rely on my memory.
Right.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate you ladies for joining me. And, if you guys think of any other questions that you have, or if, hey, they want to give me a call before moving forward, just let me know, and happy to arrange that.
Perfect.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank
Awesome.
you so much, Brittany.
Of
Yes,
course. And
thank
I
you. Good
really
to hear from ya.
appreciate you guys. And I hope y'all have a wonderful rest